Dragonflight Alpha has got a couple new dungeons going on at the moment. One of them being the Azure Expanse. The Azure Vault. Sorry, it's not expensive. It's locked down behind a vault. So, checking this dungeon out. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of this. Also, I'm playing Survival Hunter whilst I'm doing it. So I'm testing out some of this stuff. A couple things to note on Survival Hunter just in general is now some of the more of the abilities in the talent tree are actually starting to work. So things like Hydra's Bite is actually starting to work now. So I can start doing a lot more testing and playing around with Survival Hunter and getting a feel of how that's going to play out. So make sure you come in and checking out the stream, twitch.tv/Psybear_TV, so you can check me playing some, Dragonflight Survival, some Assassination Rogue, Enhance, Feral, Boomkin, all kinds of good stuff. I'm going to be testing all kinds of stuff and messing around with everything, so come check it out. But this is the Azure Vault, and I was actually just going to give you guys the raw footage of this video and let you kind of just watch through it, but I realized midway through that my chat was just super horny for Feral Druid conversation, so it ended up just me talking about Feral Druid and the Feral Druid tree for like 10 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I'm not uploading another video where it's just me complaining about a spec. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It has nothing to do with the dungeon. So here we are. We're going to be checking out the Azure Vault here. Now, you start off by going through, you work your way down through this dungeon. So you're spiraling down these stairs, spiraling down to like the caverns of this vault, right? It makes sense. Makes sense that you're going to be working through it. Couple things that I really like about it so far is it's quite nice and open. It's a dungeon with a ceiling. It's a dungeon with walls, but it is very open, okay? You have space and room to see everything that's happening. It's not a Grimrail Depot. It's not a Sanguine Depths, things like that. It's not a Total Gore. So yes, it's closed off. Yes, it's like a room, but it's very open and expansive, so I very much like that. Maybe they should call it the Azure Expanse because of how open these rooms are, but we load in now into this kind of first boss room. You got to clear all this trash out. Nothing's really it kind of reminds me of Plagueful, where you have these gloopy mobs that are just gonna immediately explode, but you can kind of pat on them quickly, and then you just got to get the heck out of the way. And then once you kill all these mobs, then the first boss, Lamor, will be active, and then you can actually start killing them. The only thing that was annoying in this trash up until this point is this thing. This mob will just cast on you, and it's uninterruptible. I don't think it can... Maybe it can be knockback or stunned, something I didn't actually try, but because I'm on a Survival Hunter, not actually the easiest to do that kind of stuff. But you get stunned and frozen in place, so I could see that being very scary if you get those little globby mobs exploding, and then you're also stunned at the same time, so you have to watch out for that one. But we fight Lamor now. I think this is a normal dungeon. I sent it for normal and heroic. I have a feeling this is a normal dungeon, because it didn't feel super look how quickly this boss is dying, right? Now I know number tuning still hasn't been done yet, but it just felt quite quick and easy. Nothing really spectacular happened on this boss because it just died so quickly. It's got a couple cool spike mechanics. It's also got those crystalline features that I guess you just can't make contact with, so it's probably going to be something where you start to run out of room eventually, coupled with other frontals and things. Seems like a cool little boss, but just dies way too quick. Way too quick to kind of test more of that. But the mobs and stuff like that so far seem pretty good. Everything's very spaced out, though. It's quite a very spaced out dungeon. There's a lot of room in between things. And then you get up to this next section of the dungeon. These dragon whelps, they'll fly around. If you trigger them in combat, they'll actually fly over to, I believe what they do is they will fly over to these mobs that are crystallized. And if they get their cast off, it will awaken these mobs. So you have a decision where you can say, right, we want to kill these mobs. We want to get our percent from these mobs. Or, no, this is bad percent. We want to leave them. We want to skip them. We don't want them to be broken out. And then you work your way into one of two of these rings. Very Oculus-esque dungeon in that sense. It's because it's the blue Dragonflight, right? It makes sense that it's going to be... it is the Azure Dragonflight? I don't know. Are these the baddies? I don't know the lore. But you have these two rings that you're going to be fighting your way through. And there's quite a bit of trash, but again, it's very separated. And they do a lot of casts. So it feels like it might be very awkward to try and pull all this trash together. I don't really know how this is going to work out as a Mythic Plus dungeon. I'd genuinely be interested to see it as one. And this goes just for a few of these dungeons that you're seeing with Dragonflight, where I'm kind of like, I don't know how this is going to play out as a Mythic Plus, but for just like a dungeon, it seems pretty cool. Not Good Offensive is a perfect example where I'm like, I'm okay with this not being a Mythic Plus, but I think it's awesome, and I'm really glad that they're putting it into the game. Doesn't necessarily need to be a Mythic Plus dungeon, but we work our way through this ring. Then there'll be like a little book. You take these books to transfer to the next realm, like the next area, and you can see us fighting all the way around in order to do that. But I don't actually know where the next little rune is. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, see where we go to. It's in the center. Oh, okay. Wait, so they're in the center of the room. So maybe we could have just clicked them at any point. I didn't actually realize that at the time. Some of these mobs hit pretty hard. You see there, it's got half health chunks there. So there'll be a lot of things here that are avoidable, but they hit hard. And then we end up taking these books. You proceed onward. You come to another ring. Zooming around, flying around. I love like the aesthetic of this dungeon. I love the colors. I love the even just the sparkle in the air is great. I think it's great looking dungeon. And they kill it every single time with the look, the feel, the thematics of a dungeon. I love these mob types that we're killing. It reminds me of going through the Nexus. So it's kind of like Nexus Oculus-esque. Which makes sense, right? It's very, very, very much makes sense. But we got very similar mob types. We got like the trees and the trents. I think one of the most, this is like obviously this is the most recent use of those trents as mob types. But just, I like seeing them come back because the last time I really remember them is like the Nexus. And then before that, what was the dungeon called? Diamol. So good to see them coming through. You've got the new dragon type, like the what are they called? Draconiid, whatever, draconic. You've got the draconic mobs, whatever you call. I really need to learn the lore of these things. You got these draconic mobs, and they seem pretty cool, like a nice new mob style. Again, you come into this room here with setting up for the second boss actually here. And here it is in the center of the room. Again, not sure if you're going to be able to pull a bunch of trash onto it. It would be interesting if when you pulled the boss, all the trash in the room then auto-pulled onto the boss. That would also be kind of interesting. We clear up through a little bit of this trash here, and then we get set to pull the boss. So see how we go, see how we do. This boss, I think, gets a few more abilities off. We don't have Bloodlust, dies a little bit slower. And so things start happening. So you got these draconic images that start spawning, and you're going to have to be interrupting them and probably killing them. It seems like, if I remember this boss correctly, it feels like a boss where... No, actually that boss is coming. There's a boss later where it feels like if you fall behind, you just start really falling behind. But this is an interesting boss where you're going to have these mobs constantly spawning. You're going to have to split your damage between focusing those mobs and killing the boss, and that should be good. You can have some good cleave, some good cleave, and some good funnel damage. That's pretty good. Skip ahead a little bit. Here, go down further into the vault. And there's this cool little runic thing on the floor. You got to be careful with your positioning, careful with where you're moving. I wonder if that hurts the mobs when they move in it. That would be cool. But so far, no. Keep working your way down through the vault. Nice little bit of scenery. You can see the whole, dungeon all the way through, which is kind of cool. Kind of skipping ahead a little bit. Just for the, I bug out a little bit here. And I end up being able to see the, floor, see the design of the dungeon, which is kind of cool. Kind of sick. They get to see that. Maybe I should report that. Give them the exact coordinates. My latitude, longitude for this dungeon. But yeah, we kill these mobs here. You then take the portal. It then puts you into this zone, into like the final ring, where you then take on Telash Greywing. Now, the really cool thing after this boss is that you immediately go from the third boss straight to the last boss. So that's something I really like in general with dungeons, same with Ruby Pools, where you kill the second to last boss, and then you're done with your trash, you immediately go into the next boss. It's like a really nice feeling, like, mentally, because normally there are, if you look like at a lower Karazhan, like you kill a boss, and then you have 10 minutes, and then it's the next boss, then you kill another boss, then another 10 minutes. It's really nice mentally when you kill a boss, and then you think that there's still a lot more left in the dungeon, but it's not. You're already at the last boss. You're ready to go. The only thing that will kind of impact is bloodlust timings, sort of. Probably not really. You probably have to be careful where you use it on the second boss. Like, you probably use first boss, second boss, because the majority of your trash happens between first and second. So I guess you'd like bloodlust first, then you'd have for second boss, then you'd have maybe for last boss again. We'll have to see. But this boss is really cool. Actual just massive crystal dragon, really sick. So fighting through this, some pretty cool mechanics. Does this frontal roar that you got to be careful of. Drops a ton of spikes with a really long cast time. Now, they die quite quickly on this difficulty, but what I'm curious about is, like, I even let one of these go through. I say to the group, like, let's try and not kill one and see what happens. What I'm curious about is how this is going to be dealt with, because they get thrown all around the room. Maybe this is like a really good Boomkin dungeon because you can starfall them or something. But we let one of these go through, and I'm just looking at everyone's health now. Okay, it gives you stacks. Gives you stacks of something. I'd have to go back through and find out what those stacks are, but they seem to be doing quite a lot of damage. And it actually kills our whole group. So it looks like if you let those fractures go through, there's a period of time where you can still survive, but after a while, you're probably just gonna die. But yeah, that was the whole dungeon. That was the Azure Vault. I kind of like this dungeon. I like it. I want to see it in a higher level difficulty before I kind of make up my mind on whether I really love it or not. But seemed like a pretty cool dungeon. And yeah, just a little bit of a showcase.